I am ranked number one. One! That means I'm the best.
Former Great Britain Olympian Lawrence Okolie, who fought in Brazil last year, didn't get very far. He was knocked out by Erislandy Savon, the Cuban, in the second phase of the competition. He made his debut on Sky Sports for Matchroom yesterday against an opponent named Jeffrey Cave, who all but caved in yesterday. Excuse the pun. Lawrence is campaigning as a cruiserweight. He was a pound over the cruiserweight 200-pound limit. His opponent weighed in at 195, so he was outweighed, outsized, and out anything that could work in his favour, quite honestly. Jeff has a record of 3 losses, and he's been stopped twice. Jeff came into the fight with a record of 2 losses, 1 loss by stoppage, 1 loss by KO. And Eddie was definitely making sure that Lawrence had the greatest chance of getting off to a winning start here, so we can't fault that. I would say, even in his second bout, the level of opposition has to step up a little. This will not be acceptable in his first 5 or 10 bouts. It just won't be. Like, Lawrence came out, trying to find a range with a jab, pushing his opponent's jab down with his own lead hand. He kept him at range. Jeffrey kept leaning back from the jab, but eventually, after being kept at range, the right crosses got through and took him out for a clean KO victory in 20 seconds. He was impressive. He beat who was in front of him, and it was the pro debut. They have to protect their investment to a degree. He actually looks to be quite a physical specimen, so maybe he hits harder than what I'm actually giving him credit for. Maybe as he steps up, the power will be carried as he steps up. Who knows? But don't listen to too much of what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be too overcritical. You know, he was impressive, but the opponent was woeful, as, to be honest, most debut opponents are. How far can he progress at cruiser will all depend on, I think, the chin. I think if he stays dedicated and trains hard, I think he can make an impression at domestic level if the chin holds up. I do believe Lawrence is 6'5". They haven't got his reach listed here. So he's a big cruiser. He is a big cruiser. I do believe he can make an imprint, at least at domestic level. Apparently he floored Anthony Joshua in sparring. We've all heard about that. So that's a ringing endorsement right there. I don't believe Joshua's denied it. He's got the matchroom muscle behind him. It's time to go. Okolie, you know what I mean? I think the future, at least at domestic level, looks bright. But there are some horrifying fighters at cruiser, to be honest with you, who don't get much limelight. Hungry fighters, so he has a lot of work to go. But mission accomplished, first step. Too early to judge. The competition at the moment, too limited to judge. And we have to see a lot more. And we will see a lot more. It kind of went under the radar on the Linares Crolla bill yesterday, where another prospect got battered, man. Like Marcus Morrison, 14-0, was said to be the next Kell Brook, a middleweight, and he fought a gatekeeper in Jason Wellborne, who didn't want to be a gatekeeper. He didn't want it, and Wellborne fought an excellent fight. He cut the ring down. He came for adversity, took the best his man had to offer, busted his nose up really badly. Done extremely well to maintain his two-handed attack with impressive rhythm, so to speak. It's not as easy as what you think to keep putting them 1-2s, them hooks together like that. Two-handed attacks. That dexterous attack. It's not as easy as people think. Because he wasn't swinging wild. He was aiming really good hooks around the guard and just beating Marcus unmercifully. Wellborne is a former victim to Matthew Macklin, who was screaming him on. So I don't know if Macklin and MTK are any part of the Wellborne setup, but, you know, Wellborne showed a good jab too. And Morrison had his moments. Don't get me wrong, he had his moments too, but just too infrequent. People have been saying it's funny how Joe Gallagher kept him in for the whole 10 rounds under extreme circumstances where he was taking a bad beating. But apparently he wanted to pull Anthony Crolla out after 9 or 10 rounds after his second conclusive loss to Jorge Linares. Well, I think a lot of people said, well, why did he want to pull Crolla out, but he didn't pull the kid out? It was taking a significant beating. Well, the thing is Crolla has been in hard fights already. He's been in difficult fights. He probably knows Crolla a little more, what he can take and what he can't take. With this kid here, he's probably still learning what he's about as a pro fighter. And even though he was losing, he had to get a gauge for himself and actually see more. Now he's in a really tough fight. Sparring can't replicate fights. So often for these coaches, they're really seeing their fighter in a real situation for the first time. The truth is, it was a fight he was supposed to win. So him just quitting like that could have done him more harm than good, you know. The nose will recover and heal itself. Quitting can be a self-fulfilling prophecy for the whole of his career. Sticking in there, gutting it out, may not turn him into a world beater or even to a British champion, but as a man, I think it's a valuable lesson in fortitude and determination, which are at least two traits he showed. His defense was terrible. No clinch game, no head, no upper body, and he was a prospect. So Gallagher will once again be under the spotlight for another fighter who just doesn't seem to know how to defend himself when fire is returned. Is that an unfair criticism? I think Coppin09 said, yeah, he's a bootleg Freddie Roach. Katie Taylor, the female boxer, I think, is she a lightweight? She stopped her opponent. A lot of the guys on the hangout, it seemed like they were just passing the time until she finally got the job done. And to say the least, they were a little dismissive about the prospect of female boxing on the card. And I can't say I was far behind them. You know, to be honest with you, I really can't. I'll be honest. Maybe if it was a better matchup, it could have caught my attention more. I will watch an evenly contested female match. I will watch that. But it kind of seems pointless to me to see a girl who's clearly superior than the other girl just beating up another girl. It kind of, I don't know, just doesn't rub me the right way, as Johnny Gill. But she did what she had to do, and Matchroom have invested in her. She's very popular in Ireland. But I think there's other territories where female boxing is more popular, and Eddie is going to have to let the girl off the leash and ply a trade there. I don't think there's much of a demand in England for what she's doing. She's from Ireland and she's fighting in England. And if she's that popular in England, why is she not on any Irish cards, is the question. And the answer that springs back at me is, you know, she won't get the same exposure as being televised on one of Eddie's London cards. So that wraps that up. There was some lower tier WBA belt at stake as the described grudge match between Jack Armfield and Brian Rose took place, the Battle of Blackpool. It was at 160. Apparently they both trained with Bobby Rimmer as kids at Blackpool, and Armfield left the stable. And there's been bad blood since then. At the weigh-in, I see Brian rushing with the head aggressively. The grudge match didn't really have much grudge in it. From what I saw, they were boxing well, upright boxing. The old upright, straight British left style of boxing is what I saw for the most part. Armfield was a little taller. I couldn't separate them at the end of it, and Armfield got the nod. Brian Rose and that nose, the hook nose he has, it always seems to split, and it split yesterday. Where does he go from here? They've tried to build up Brian Rose. He's had a world title fight against Demetrius Andrade and didn't show up. He's been stopped by Carson Jones. He won the return. I don't know. He was lucky to win that eliminator that got him the shot against Andrade that time. Don't know. He's been knocked out by Max Maxwell in a round. He's done pretty well for his ability. He's sold tickets and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe he'll carry on. Armfield, second relatively big win I've seen him have on Sky. He beat John Ryder last year, and now he's turned over Brian Rose. So well done to him. He moves on. And Eddie done his job for Anthony Crolla yesterday in securing him 2 good purses on the bounce in the 2 fights with Linares. In the first fight, Crolla lost his WBA belt. They had it a split decision, but it just bewildered me, really. I thought Crolla could actually beat him and was picking Crolla, but at the end of the fight, like, Crolla was clearly outskilled, not battered and bruised or anything, but people, I don't know what it is with boxing these days. You have to actually comatose someone for it not to be a split decision. And that's not boxing. If you're outskilled, it should reflect in the scoring, like the first Crolla and Linares fight. They made it a split decision. Even from there, you can check the timeline if you want. I was saying this is political so they can give Crolla another match, and that's exactly what happened. So these days in boxing, the hometown fighter, if he can avoid getting battered really badly, more than likely the network is going to say, oh yeah, it was close, it was tight. The promoter's going to jump up and say the same thing. And they're going to demand a rematch. And it works in Linares' favour because he's getting paid. He's getting paid well to take a fight that he knows he's more than capable of winning. But there shouldn't have actually been no need for a rematch. He floored Crolla this time around and just boxed too well for the guy. I don't have any notes written down on what he'd done really good, but he was really good, Good mover, good combination puncher, good body puncher. The left hand uppercut was excellent that he used to floor Crolla. Just a all-round consummate performance. Just say that. He knows the ring and he knew what he was doing. And it was good for Crolla that he got another purse, but to a degree, the Matchroom consumer who picks up the tickets, they won't be complaining much. They just like going to Eddie Hearn cards. It's like a night out, and I believe the actual level of stiff competition is nearly secondary to them enjoying their night out. That's what I'm becoming to believe, and that's credit on Eddie's part. He's made an atmosphere where his punters feel comfortable and just like being in the atmosphere of a Matchroom card. Can't argue with that, Can't argue with that. Not attacking Eddie. He's putting some good cards this year and last year. Not attacking, but it's just analysing the need for this match yesterday. Simple as that. But you just get the feeling that what was the point, really? Somebody in the comment section said Crolla will be dropping down to Tommy Coyle level next, which was quite funny and a bit brutal. But that's the brutal realities of the game. Maybe O'Hara Davis, if he can jump up a few pounds, give O'Hara Davis a test next, maybe. Who knows?